My name is Victoria Schilling, and for my exploratory presentation, I compared and contrast Rome and India's civilization. Rome and India had many similarities, and a few were that slavery was a big part of their civilization that helped them thrive. They did all of the dirty work. The slaves were not well respected at all, and they were considered to be at the bottom of their social class. Both civilizations had varying social classes, and the higher up you were on the social class, the more respected you were. They also relied heavily on trade. They traded a variety of different items, but a few were wheat, silk, lentils, chicken, spices, gold, and pottery. They didn't just trade food. Rome and India were very patriarchal, and the males were considered to be more superior, and they held most of the power. The women did have some rights, but not nearly as much as the men did. They only had very little. Also, they both built roads that helped their civilization drastically. With the roads, they were able to improve their trade by being able to go longer distances, and it also helped strengthen their military. Rome and India had many similarities, but they also had many differences because they were two different civilizations. For instance, India was controlled by one government, while Rome was ruled by a Senate and the Roman people. That was called the SPQU. They both had social classes, but India's was a lot harsher and they lived really strictly by it. They had to marry within their social class, and they only really could associate with the people that were within their social class. India's caste system included the Brahmin, which were the priests, the Kshatriya, which were the warriors and officials, the Vaishyas, which were the merchants, and the Sudras, which were the peasants and the laborers. And those were ranked from highest to lowest in the social class. For Rome, they had patricians and plebeians. The patricians were the people that held most of the political power in the republic, and the plebeians were just the common people of Rome, and they were considered to be free citizens. They did have some voice politically, but definitely not as much voice as the patricians did. In Rome, people could kind of change their social class. So, for instance, the slaves, if they were good, they were able to earn their freedom. In India and Rome, they had very different religious beliefs. India's religions consisted of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Those religions had many different rituals that they did and animal sacrifices. They also believed in the concept of karma and rebirth. For Rome, Christianity began to spread at the beginning of the 1st century, and they believed in God and Jesus. Another difference was how the slaves were treated in either civilization. India's slaves were treated a lot better, and in Rome, the slaves played a crucial role in their economy, and they were treated very, very poorly. For what makes a great civilization? There are many different key concepts in order to have a great civilization, but these are just a few that I thought were very crucial in creating a great civilization. For instance, religion plays a big role because it helps create rules, structure, moral values, and gets the community together to be as a whole. You also need a strong military because if you are weak, then other civilizations will be able to come in and take over and rule your civilization, and there definitely will be no way for you to thrive, and you will collapse or just be taken over. You also need to have good trade, and this is important because in some areas, you might not be able to gather certain foods or tools that you need. So when you trade, you can help even out what you can't get and what other civilizations can't get to help you thrive. Also, environmental factors play an important role because if you live in harsh living conditions, it could affect your food and water supply, meaning if you live in the desert, then you might not be able to have access to grow certain crops and limited access to water, which is very important. It can also, certain environmental factors can destroy your crops, or you can just be, like I said, in a bad area where your crops just can't grow. You also need to have a well-structured government or system to help keep all of the people in check. There needs to be rules and a higher power to help run the country, because if you just have random people doing whatever you want, it's going to be chaotic and civilization will probably fall and collapse. You also need to have a good economy, because if this civilization does not have money, there's no way for them to survive and thrive. And the people also need to have freedom. If they do not have freedom, then they're going to rebel, and the civilization will probably collapse as well. The people need to have structure, but they also need to have some freedom in order to equal out and not make it so harsh and not be a complete dictatorship. Now that we are in the 21st century, there's such a difference between now and back then during the Roman and Indian civilization. A few examples are technology. Today it continues to grow every day and new inventions are constantly being made. Also, our medicine has improved so much. People are able to live longer, and our science have invented cures and created vaccines to help prevent certain illnesses. And our surgeries have improved so much to better help save people's lives. Our education has also improved. People are constantly learning and are able to improve their knowledge throughout all the different schools. I would say our farming has definitely improved. We are able to grow more crops and have much easier access to meat. Back then, they definitely did not have grocery stores. They had to do trade to get food, and they had to grow their own. But for us, we just have to go to the grocery store and pick up a few things. We also have so many dairy farms, meat farms, and vegetable farms that we have so much of abundance of food. Also, now that we are in the 21st century, we as a community are so much better through equality. Women are starting to take action in their lives, and there's something called the Me Too Act where they're starting to speak up. Also today, of course, there's going to be some discrimination because there's always going to be those evil people out there. But overall, the idea of race, ethnicity, gender, religion, and how you identify yourself is becoming so much more accepted. And everybody is considered equal. Gay marriages have become legal, and bi, transgender, and gay people are more comfortable and feeling safe to come out. I would say we have a much stronger military as well, because we have access to so many weapons and so many different techniques that we have to help improve us. And also, transportation has changed. We can easily get in a car, fly on a plane, sit on a train or a bus to get to destinations, and it's a lot easier than it was back then during the Roman and Indian civilization.